So, ladies and gentlemen, you already have made an assessment about me. Because it takes the brain about men, we're a little slower, about 3 seconds, and you already made an assessment about me based on every movie, every book, and every single thing that relates to this face and the suit. If I speak to you about body language and I come in here with a t-shirt and shorts, the message is going to be radically different. What do I mean by that? 93% of what we say has nothing to do with our mouth. And this is not just coming out of my mouth. These are studies, scientific studies, that show that 93% of what we say has nothing to do with this. This is only creating a sound. And I want to get into sound. How much time do you
Tell Lance's wife.
So I have about 25 minutes. I'm going to rush through it in hopes that I give you profound information that can really make a difference. So, based on my body posture, you're going to pay attention to me. If I start speaking to you, my shoulders roll over just a bit forward, my message is going to be completely different. And let me say this before I forget. We have females in the room, and I love that. Men and women, would you agree that we communicate slightly different?
Very good.
We communicate completely different. I'm going to talk about the first point of contact. First point of contact of someone doing business with you is going to take them about a split of a second for a woman and about 3 seconds for men. And like I said, is the message that you see right here is the one that is going to make a huge difference. Creating rapport has a lot to do with your hand. As soon as you touch someone, studies show that you will increase about 33% of agreement with another human being, depending upon what information you're passing on. Let me ask you a question. Would you do business with somebody that gives you their hand in such a way?
If it was a lady.
That's a lady's hand, right?
Yeah, like
That's a dead lady's hand. Man, would you do business with someone like that?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Somebody gives you the dead fish hand?
She's got a lot of money. She
got a fish back here.
Wait,
Now we see what.
How soft is that hand?
Okay. More than likely you won't.
she would definitely be more business, but I don't think we would turn it down.
Okay. Interesting. Give it the benefit of the doubt. Would you agree? All right.
Yeah.
So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to stand up. Yes. Stand up. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to shake the person to your right. I want you to shake that person's hand like if it was Monday. Hold on. Bunch of alphas in the room already. They're already taking off. Hold on. Let me give you directions. What I want you to do is I want you to shake that person's hand like if it's Monday, you went to the office and you look up and you go, God, why me? Okay? You don't particularly like that person. Of course, this is a hypothetical. Nothing happens like that, right? We all like each other, right? So I want you to go ahead and shake that person's hand just like if it was someone that you really don't want to see. How would you do it? Right? All right, so the next one will be, I want you to shake the person's hand. Is the kind of person that you really don't have any positive or negative feelings toward them, but they're just an acquaintance. Go ahead and shake their hand. How would you do it? You guys are extra friendly. I like it. All right, so now the next one is I want you to shake their hand. Everybody has kids here?
No.
Okay, not all of us. Okay. Well, pretend that your dinner depends upon shaking that person's hand and them liking you. Go ahead and shake that person's hand.
Oh, I would do it.
All right, so the next one. All right, you guys are having too much fun already. All right, so the next one is I want you to pretend that that person's hand that you're about to shake, it happens to be your best friend, and you haven't seen him in a long time. And you know what happens when your best friend comes around town, right? How would you do it? All right. Have a seat. hand, based on studies, if you shake somebody's hand and it's a dead fish hand, you already are behind the 8 ball. Meaning, that person is going to have a doubt about you because there is no strength. Your brain is looking for something that is equal to that person immediately. So what do I mean by that? That means that you're going to shake hands at the same pressure that that person shakes your hand. Now let me show you a hand that went overboard, and politicians do this. Do we have any politicians or elected officials?
Yes,
She's got green arm.
We're going to have fun. I only have half hour, too bad. Now, let me ask you this. Have you guys ever seen that shake, that handshake right there?
we do. Yes.
That's an awkward handshake. Let me tell you why. That person has to give you permission to have them touch them. The higher you go, the more you're trying to force in somebody's brain that relationship or that connection you don't have. Okay? So that's why they call it the awkward handshake. And the other thing is, you are projecting power through that handshake. Everything starts in your stomach. Ladies, you ever had a gut feeling about someone, or the mother's intuition?
All the time.
Okay, so what does that mean? That means that your brain has a nervous system. We have an entire nervous system. There's a nerve that goes between your spine and your stomach, and that's why they call it the gut feeling. Okay? What that means is that that nerve has a brain. There's more connections to that brain down there than a cat has in his entire body. Pay attention to that. You're always going to end up doing business with someone instantaneously, and the feeling starts right here. You either have a good feeling or a bad feeling. Okay? Here's a handshake that allows you to be what? Kind. If you see the hand is an older person's hand. If you hold with the second hand, you're giving them encouragement. Okay? So if you have somebody that is very fragile, they have arthritis or something like that, and you do that, you're comforting that person. So handshakes are very, very powerful. The first point of contact, that person's going to know if they want to do business with you or not, based on that handshake. Mark, let me ask you something. If I shake your hand like this, how do you feel? You don't like it? This is a dominating handshake. If you shake somebody's hand like this, you're letting them know, hey, I'm empowered. Or this handshake. Now here in the United States, we don't pay attention to our hands so much because we are considered neutral. If you're the president of the company, I can be the janitor, he's still going to shake my hand the same way. So what happens is, if you shake somebody's hand like this, you're letting them know right away. And women, how do you feel if somebody shakes your hand like this? Give it an example. She's already saying no. Hi, how you doing? I'm great. No? Why?
It's not very polite.
It's not very polite. How do you know that?
Huh?
How do you know that?
Because your energy is forceful, it's all about you.
It's all about you. What if I turn my hand this way? How you doing, sir? It's a pleasure to meet you. You guys get that? He's not going to take me seriously because in other countries, this handshake right here represents a waiter, somebody who works in the hotel business. They come over and say to you, hi, may I serve you? Correct? Okay? So be very careful how you shake somebody's hand. The neutral way of shaking somebody's hand is like this. And here he goes. That's your proper handshake, especially in the United States. Okay? So be aware of that handshake. Remember, equal muscle modulation. Fancy word for saying if you shake somebody's hand, shake their hand at the same amount of pressure he's giving me. Good handshake, yes? Now, what if I do this? I'm going to show you another thing about the handshake. What if I do this? Hi, how you doing? No. What happened?
Lose confidence.
Why?
So we can't shake.
Here's what he means. He didn't get to touch the palm of my hand. I brought in the hand and I did this. Notice the difference between this handshake and this handshake. Automatically, it's sending a signal to your brain that is saying something's missing. It creates suspicion because your palm, the palm of your hand, must touch that other person's hand. Okay? Anything that has any kind of discrepancy or the pressure of the hand. I come back over here and I shake your hand and I go like this. Do you feel like doing business with me now?
Yeah.
You do? then that's something. Why? Equal muscle modulation, and the palm of your hand comes right next to the other one. Women have the tendency to shake the hand, and they shake the hand halfway there. Get up for a second. Here's what happens. My model. He didn't sign up for this. Look at him. Alpha man. What? If you guys notice, I came in early. One of the things that I do is I come in early to check everyone out. I know who the followers and the leaders are. I asked Mark, I said, who are your alpha males? He goes, all of them. In this business, it's either you're doing it or you're not. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a handshake the presidents do. And I'm going to show you what kind of effect it has on you immediately. What if I come in and I go like this? Come in like this and I put my hand toward your stomach. What happened there? You feel comfortable? No. There's three, have a seat, thank you. There's three different parts of our body that are very vulnerable. What do I mean by that? Your neck. Would everybody agree with me that if somebody puts a knife through here on history? Yes? Where else? So it's here, it's from here down, and the private area. So if you see someone using their hands to do this, you know, typical soccer, you ever seen soccer players that put their hands over here before they execute? Why? Because if they hit them here, we're done. That's right. The other thing you see is this. What are you covering? You're covering the area that creates the most amount of emotion. So if you feel uncomfortable, you start turning your hands in. Okay? This covers that area. Now, notice what happens. You ever seen gorillas do this? I can do that, right? It's covered because it has a skeleton. Now, from here down, very, very important. Somebody stabs me, digestive juices will go into my bloodstream, and I start what? Dying. So that's the reason when you keep your hands here, up here, that in itself is a negative signal. Jacket closed means I'm close. If you ever see somebody that unbuttons their jacket, lean forward, and pay attention to you, and they take their chin and their hand from their chin and put it down, hand them a pen. They're ready to sign up. Versus taking a step back. And ladies, tell me this. If a man is talking to you, and all of a sudden they put their hands in their pocket, what happens? What kind of message are they sending?
You're not getting it.
You're hiding something. I have a lady friend of mine, she's from Chicago. I said, Linda, what's the problem with you? You've known me for 25 years. She goes, Rick, you know that us women always got to see your hands. Okay? Very important. Guys, don't do this. Don't put your hands in your pocket. You're immediately sending a signal that you're hiding something. Now, here's a dominant handshake. Giving you a perfect example, you look at Obama, and there's something that politicians do. I don't know if you know this or not, but they even have a proper angle as to how they stand, whether they're going to shake hands, and the media's nearby. When you show this part of your hand, just like this, that means that you have what? The upper hand, and you're showing the part of your hand. This part of your hand being exposed is very powerful. So they have the camera, and guess what the presidents do? They stand on this side, so when the camera's about to take the picture, they're shaking a hand like this. It shows upper hand. I have the power. If you see it right here, this is a month later after he got elected. There you have it. The other one is fingers are wide open. And he uses that a lot as we call the dominant spider hand gesture. I want you to do this. Now pay attention to your hands, because not only do you have more neural connections to your hands from your brain to your hands than any other part of your body. Meaning that your hands speak loud. They are very loud what you do with your hands. Ladies, what would happen if I start doing this? Not all at once.
The nervous, bad news.
What else?
You're
You
feeling
got
right.
caught.
The closer
Okay.
to the face, the bad it is.
Yes. You ever
So you
seen
got like
news
this,
anchors? You guys ever seen news, the people that give out the news anchors, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen them touch their face? Never. They're trained to keep their hands down. From here, When you speak from here and your hands are open, this is the honesty point. If I bring my hands up here, now I'm passionate. If my hands go above my shoulders, you think I'm crazy. Okay? Ever seen a monkey coming you this way? This is trying to tell you, I'm crazy and I'm about to kill you. Okay? Yes?
What the hand gestures for the mills you mentioned, go downward and then crossing of the arms, is that the same for women?
Yes.
Because I thought having your hands in front, I had read that it was more childlike, more innocence, more...
It could be depending upon the
Kind of
context.
like Paris Hilton when she got caught and
Exactly.
she went into handcuffs,
Yes.
she put them in the front, so
Yes.
she looks so...
But not only that, but look at what you're doing with your hand.
I'll give you an example.
Exactly. So, absolutely. Think about people that are presenting. We took the same salesperson to do 3 different sales presentations. We said the first sales presentation that I want you to do is I want you to keep your hands open and I want you to keep them out. Like this. Anybody seen? How does everybody pray? With your hands up, correct? Muslims pray with their hands out. Big, big signal. So we said to the person, we want you to do the exactly same presentation, same words. We don't want you to deviate. All we want you to do is change the positions of your hands. When he started doing this presentation with his hands and showing the palms of the hands, 33% increase in sales. Hands down, less than 10%. Pointing fingers at people. People were walking out of the room even before the presentation was over. Very, very powerful. So if you notice people that they're hard to listen to, they're constantly doing this with the hands down. The other thing is, what does a magician do before they do the trick? What do? I have nothing to hide. This comes from evolution of 500 million years ago, where somebody will look immediately at your hands. If you're concealing your hands, what does the police ask you to do the first thing? Put your hands where I can what? See them. Because your feet or your head are not going to kill them, but your hands can. I normally start a video with a police officer showing what happens when you don't read body signals. If you see a police officer going after someone immediately, they went from show me your hands to I'm not going to say what you do to pointing, and when you clap or do this, they got to jump on you because they know what does this mean. Somebody claps, that's the last movement they're going to make before they get what? Defensive. They're going to get violent. Okay? So very important about your hands. Now take a look at this one here. Romney here trying to get smart, but of course they know this game very well. He came in and he tried to do what? He's on the left-hand side to put this hand toward the camera. What does Obama do? He does 2 things. He brings his hand toward Romney's gut and he makes him sing, meaning that it made him very uncomfortable. And the other one was the gesture on the shoulder or the arm, meaning I'm in power. Relax, buddy. And oh, by the way, let me get my hand toward your gut so that you feel uncomfortable to win the psychological game. Okay? Now, create a rapport. Picture on my right, your left. Are those people in rapport?
No.
Why?
Body language.
Every signal gives you what? They're closed off. Yes? Why? Where are the arms? Right around the emotional area. They're both with their hands, what? Across their midsection. Correct? Look at the ladies on the right. On your right. Are they in rapport?
They just finished a glass of wine.
So you see that they're showing their hands. All these vulnerable areas are exposed, meaning there is no danger. We're in a great conversation. Feet. Now, most people pay attention to their hips, from their hips up. Feet will say a lot more than you will ever know until now. Let me ask you this. You see these 2 women with their feet. Not only are they pointing toward each other, but what? The angle is close. that means no one else can walk in nearby and try to get into a conversation. That says, this is only our conversation. Okay? If you look at the other one, right here, if you see that in a bar, what does that mean? Check, please! So you let me talk about space. I will have a lot more to say about space, but I got to respect the time. Space is extremely important. If you notice, this gentleman right here is closing in the space. And what is the reaction, ladies? What's that? Backing up. What does that mean in the work environment? Sexual harassment. You said, that's right. Exactly. If you look at the one on the bottom, she made a boo-boo. She not only closed the distance, but used the finger. She's no longer the government.
He brought it on himself that time.
Space invaders, be very aware of this. And I bring this because this time and time again is sexual harassment. Your space is very important. Now you think you're being nice, gentlemen, and the women are saying, can you please just get your greasy hands off? Okay? When you walk into any space, women are amazing at this. Within 10 to 15 minutes, women would know if their husband, their boyfriend, lover, if they're going to walk away with someone or not based on distance. Gentlemen, start paying attention to this because this is something that we don't even get. Okay? So, in a social setting, like I'm speaking here, it will be about 3 to 5 feet. And this is how you can tell. I have the power to walk around and make sure that your hormones change. If I look at you straight in the eye and I'm coming by, his testosterone is already not only going down, but the stress hormone is going up, called the cortisol. Why? Because you ever been in a classroom and you have a teacher, one of those teachers, and they come nearby you and they go, do you know the answer? Look at his face. You remember that, right? So when you're speaking, imagine that I'm speaking and I'm behind the podium all the time. And I'm holding on to this. You know what the podium was made for? You guys remember the Shakespeare stories? This is what the podium was for. To hide when you were not being a good entertainer. Why? Because they're throwing what? Tomatoes and everything else. That's what this thing is for. It creates a barrier in front of you. And I'm going to speak about barriers. So, personal, social, and public distances between people, and people will let you know all the time. They say, you know, I don't know about that person, I got to keep that person, and they show you with their hands, correct? I keep them at an arm's distance. Or that person's a very good friend of mine. It's a close friend of mine. What are they doing with their hand? They're showing you how far that person can go. So your body is speaking to you constantly. In this gathering, I'm about 3 to 5 feet away from any of you before you begin to feel uncomfortable. So if you stand up for a second, go ahead, stand up. I want you to notice, I want you to look at the next person. I'm going to do it with Mark. Mark and I, by the way, men and women communicate completely different, and I'm going to show you the difference right now. But just for the sake of the example, I'm going to stand right here, and right here is borderline with Mark. Right about here, right here, it's already invading your space, correct? And what does that do? If you're going to sell someone and you happen to break into that person's personal space, are they listening to you? No. All they're saying is, please get back. Please get back. I work with a lot of Japanese, and they hire me and say, why is it that people are so far away from me? And why is it that, 10, 15 minutes after having a conversation, I call it the Japanese dance. Because the American person, more space. Japanese are closer because of the population. They live in closer quarters, so they're more comfortable with being closer. So I want you to look at the person like you guys are together, correct? Okay, great. You two, and you can come over here. Now I'm going to show you something. Just stand in front of that person and just do this. Stand in front of them and see, I can see just micro expressions already going like this. And this is a reaction that you do on your face unconsciously. So once you start paying attention to the unconscious part of what's going on, which are 7, pay attention to this, this is very important. There's 7 facial expressions that are universal. Body language is subject to culture. Latinos, oh, I'm a hugger. Yeah, don't do that in a business setting. You're going to lose business. Yeah, but I love to hug people, blah, blah, blah. You know, in Egypt, one of my teachers says, you know, within 5 minutes, I never knew that I was going to kiss 6 men in the mouth and hug after 45 years of not ever touching a man. Because he went to a different culture, but he knew enough that if he didn't let that person or the same man get close to you, you already said, I don't even want anything to do with you. You're disrespected. Okay? So take a look at that person. Turn around face to face and do this exercise. And as soon as you notice that micro expression right there, this is what I'm okay here. Beyond this, it's over. We're not interested. No talking. No talking. Just get in front of that person. Now come closer.
Belly to belly.
So did you notice the difference? Did you notice being able to just get closer? I'm not uncomfortable with you. Look at his face. He's all red. So chemically, I'm going to change. Have a seat. Have a seat. All right. Have a seat. Have a seat. I only have a limited amount of time, and I want to give you as much information as I can. So take a look at this next one. Now, let me ask you this. Is this gentleman selling?
He just closed the deal.
He just closed the deal. Well, how do you know that?
Everybody's smiling, handshake. Smiling. The arm,
They're smiling.
He's got the arm around the wire.
Absolutely. Do you see any obstacles in front of them?
No.
You notice that they're not at a square table. They're in a round or rectangular table. News for you. Whenever you're doing a negotiation, use round tables. When you have a square table, you have the tendency to begin to do what? Have a territory in front of you. You start taking over. On a round table, there is no angles, therefore you can't take over the table. Give you a good example. If you walk into a lawyer's office, who's a lawyer in here? Any? Yay! No, just kidding. What do they have? Their furniture is all about the power, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So this guy is good. He just closed the deal. Great. 3 of them are excited. Now take a look at this one. Is he selling? Yes. How do you know? Because he's showing stuff. Yes. And he has the computer on the side. There is no objects between that person. The more objects there are in front of you, they become barriers. Is this lady selling? How do you know that?
That's like the front of her tuner.
But they're leaning in, so they seem interested and they're ready to sell.
Yeah. Take a look at their arms.
He's not.
She's got her hand down first. Okay? Second, she has what? The arm is right in front of her. Second, she's not smiling. The other one is, look at this guy's shoulder.
Down and away.
Using the shoulder to create a barrier. With the other lady, she's being polite. She's not buying. These are the 7 universal expressions. If I teach you guys how to do this, this is what they teach police officers. They ask people several questions, and there's 2 things that happen. Eye movement, your eyes are connected and wired to your brain in a certain way that you will look in a certain direction constantly, because that's how we are wired in the brain. So if you look at this guy right here and you start learning all these things, you are at a very, very much of an advantage when it comes to negotiations, because these expressions on your face come up unconsciously. So if you're able to pick that up, see what happens is the expression comes up in their face, and then that signal from the unconscious mind goes to your brain. Now you're giving what? Logic to that. But if you pick it up before they do, like he goes, you know, there's a gesture that goes something like this, and you go, is everything okay? And they'll go, you know, no, the 3-bedroom is not big enough, or whatever the case may be. Now you already addressed something that came unconsciously and you brought it up to the surface. If you don't, you already lost the sale and you just blah, 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 blah. Now, the interesting thing about this is that these are universal. These are monkeys and gorillas do exactly the same gestures, same expressions. Now, is this person selling? Is she gonna sell?
Yeah.
Take a hand over here. First, look at her eyes. She's narrowing her eyes. Nobody buys from people that have this expression on their face. Okay? Nobody buys from there. Everybody's going to buy from this one.
Who's the client?
Exactly. You can't even tell, can you?
I thought she was like, it wasn't my
Five's a
fault.
couple.
There is a couple. He has the paper in front of him with a very what? Quizzical look on his face. Like, I don't know about this. I don't like you. I got the paper in front of me.
Yeah, how did it get there?
Okay? Look at her. Narrow eyes with her hand on her chin and the glasses. When you take your glasses, shh, when you take your glasses off and you put them in your hand or in front of you, that's a big signal that that person doesn't even want to focus anymore. Men and women. Men, 90% of the time, when they first meet, we sit in angles, ladies. I'm gonna disclose to you how men do business. Is that useful, ladies? Yes? Check this out. Powerful men, they sit on opposite what? Angles, or on an angle, because my energy toward him, what happens with two men face to face? They're about to do what? A lot of Marines were having problems because they went to the Middle East. And in the Middle East, when you're going to talk to someone and you're passionate about something, you're right here. And what do? Get off my face. No, I want to talk to you. Pay them. Get away. You're in my personal space. Notice this one. This is for the ladies. Furniture has a lot to do with power or lack of power. What do I mean by that? If you look at this lady, she has wide gestures. These are two CEOs of two major corporations. So her gestures are big, meaning they're not here. She's not slouching. They're out here, and they're about a body or more length. You guys remember Hillary Clinton when she was the first lady? And here's Hillary Clinton. She will get up and do one of these. Correct? And she'll sit down. What happened after she came out of being the first lady and now she was what? Secretary. Open body gestures, and she looked like she knew everybody in Iowa. Does she really know anybody in Iowa? Don't care. Let's take a look at this. So now, we talked about feet. Her feet are pointing toward him. She has wide gestures. I said body language has a lot to do with furniture as well. Look at the chair she's sitting on. Is it equal to the one that he's sitting in? The answer is yes. Imagine her sitting on this kind of chair with her arms crossed. Do you think they're going to take her seriously? The other thing, like I said, look at her feet. Widespread, pointing toward him. Okay? Now, notice the angle of the chairs. She's not sitting directly in front of him. The other thing is, take a look at him. What do you see? Shoes. Interesting, huh? Yeah, and what is he doing? Showing the sole of your foot, of his shoe.
LVs.
What's that?
Louis Vuitton.
Okay. The reason why I walk into the room early is because I want to see who the alpha males are. In sales, you have an unconscious energy going on. You have an alpha male, and the rest will follow. Now, here's one thing that alpha males do. They break what? The rules. If you have a bunch of suits inside of a room, the guy that walks in there with his golf suit on, his sweats on, and he's talking, you know who's the boss, correct? And you're laughing because...
I got my golf suit.
I didn't hear you say that again.
I have my golf suit on.
There you go. Or you're dressed very casual in a very nice area. Why? Because alphas always break the rules. So pay attention to this, ladies. Never sit right in front of a man. And let me ask you this. Women, when they meet, they get face to face. The other thing they do is, what do you guys do? They touch. Correct? You touch. Now, men, if a woman gets right in front of you, about 18 inches in front of you, and she's talking to you, and she's grabbing your arm, what are you thinking? Correct? She digs me, right? So you're sending a total different message. Check, please. Here is a way for you to project yourself in a very powerful way without pointing. If I point at any of you, you're going to feel somewhat offended. But if I turn my hand here, you guys remember Bill Clinton used to do this? And then they couldn't get him to stop it, and the coach said, finally turn the finger in and started doing this. This is a much more gentle approach. When you have the finger, or the way he has it up here, now that's a different gesture. You will still get your point across, but you're not being aggressive. Correct?
What is, hey, Rick, I got a question. What is your name?
Wrong.
See what happens? You teach them and then they want to. Here's a man doing what? What is this gesture? If he wasn't the president and he was doing that, what do you think?
Right.
Who uses that?
That was good.
Political figures? Who else?
Judge.
Say again?
I'll show you.
Judges? What else?
When you're angry.
Religious leaders. Be aware when they say, let the hand of mine and the power of God, and they already put their hand on you, they're saying, I'm the one in power. You're just going to sit there and receive this. So be very aware. I get a kick out of watching those guys because they get away with murder in the name of religion. Now, scientific studies show that now you don't have to go to a psychiatrist. If you notice, I was standing in the back and I spread. The more you open your body, there's two things that happen. One, your testosterone will shoot up to 30%, meaning that you feel more power, more daring. If you do any kind of voice, and it comes down from here, men and women, and you say something, now you have changed your chemistry. Now you don't have to go to a psychiatrist and find out why your inner child hasn't been, mature enough to do business, blah, blah, blah. Scientifically proven, you take on power poses, your chemistry changes, and so does your actions. This lady is a doctor, social psychologist from Harvard University, and she took the studies of showing people and didn't tell them exactly what they were going to do. They were blind studies where they did all these poses, and guess what? You guys recognize any of those people?
Wonder Woman.
All powerful people doing what? Powerful open gestures. Now, I don't recommend, men, that you do this, and enough is while you're sitting in front of a woman. Women, do you like that gesture? Not all at once, please. No? Why? This is a sign of I'm extremely comfortable, or I have to expand myself like an animal would when I don't feel empowered or I'm unsure or concerned about something. So be aware of that, men. This is what happens when you take on those power gestures. More confidence, you become a better negotiator, better communicator, all of the great things. There's a pose. You guys recognize that gentleman there? Yeah. Al Pacino, where is he? What movie is he in?
Godfather.
Godfather. And what was that movie about? Power. Notice how he's spreading all over the couch. The wider you spread, the more power you get other people to think you have. Here's who? James Bond. Doing what? Expanding again. Okay? Recognize any of those powerful people? Absolutely. Notice all those powerful gestures. Ladies, studies show that if I'll show you a picture for a split of a second, and there's a lady standing like this, and the next lady standing like this. This lady is who? The assistant or the president? And who is this one? This is a universal gesture called the steeple that the higher you have it when you're speaking about something, the higher your confidence not only goes up, but you're sending a signal of, hey, I'm confident. Now, if Donald Trump starts doing this, brings it all the way up here, and he puts it in his mouth, that means it's time for you to be quiet. He's done listening to you. I teach corporate executives how to do this, and you see them walk out and they're all going like this. The more you expand upon that steeple, okay, the more confident you look. The bigger, if you're trying to get a point across, and you use this gesture here, is bigger. People take you on profoundly different. I have to go, but let me give you this one. These are your power gestures. This is a low power gesture. This is somebody's assistant. That's the boss. Agree? This comes across the animal kingdom. As you can see, anybody who wants to look more powerful, they expand. And all of them. Why? Benefits. Not bad. Summarize. Your body is always going to say a lot more than you think. Be mindful. Don't let your hands wander around. You touch your collar, your face, you're showing signals that you're drastically very uncomfortable. Okay? Pay attention. Listen with your eyes. And remember, the gut feeling is always the right one. Don't ever question it, because you're always going to be, ladies, wrong. Correct? My name is Rick Ronquillo. Thank you so much. I wish I could give you more.
Rick, quick
Yes?
question. So you said you came in early, observed the room. I'm wondering, who are the alpha males in your opinion of the room?
All of them. Don't put me in that situation. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. And yes, you're